All right, let's get into the topic, Rob. And speaking of breakups, Jovan Buha, who friend of the show, covers the Lakers for The Athletic. He wrote in his latest mailbag, Rob. He was asked about LeBron's future with the Lakers, and he said this: based on conversations I've had over the past week or so, I'd say there's about a 10% chance LeBron James isn't back as a Laker next season, either due to retirement or playing for another team. Everyone with and around the team I've spoken to believes he's returning. That said, Rob, he brings up the notion of LeBron going to another team. No, I don't think either of us thinks he's going to retire. But what are your thoughts? And I'm sure you don't think this is going to happen either. But let's, for the sake of discussion, and in fact, you know what? You were gone when this kind of came out last week. But Rob G, bring us up to speed on what the Ringer, I won't say reported, but wrote about a week ago.
Yeah, it was a column by Kevin O'Connor, who is, very plugged in. He's just a good all-around basketball head. Yeah. And he wrote in one of his more recent columns about LeBron James, what would be potential, reasons for LeBron floating out that, hey, I may or may not retire. And he speculated, maybe it's a way to put pressure on the Lakers front office. Maybe he actually is considering retirement. And then the very last reason he mentioned was, what if he's angling for a way to get to Golden State and team up with Steph Curry?
Because he said, Rob, that Steph would be the one guy he'd love to play with. I'm going to say this, and Rob G and I discussed this before the show, Rob, and that we agreed on it. I don't think it would be a great look for LeBron to go anywhere else for anything other than sentimental reasons. For instance, if he wanted to go back to Cleveland and finish his career there because that's his hometown team, who can argue with that? If he wanted to go to Cleveland or some other team that had a great chance or was, in a situation where they could make sure that they got his son Bronny the following year, and LeBron would be there with Bronny. Again, he's wanted to play with his son. If it's all good with Bronny and Savannah, his wife, then I'm not going to criticize it, even though I may disagree. And so if he went to another team, Rob, let's throw out Golden State since that was in the article. I just think people, there are some that already still don't like that LeBron went to Miami with Wade and Bosh, or that he went back to Cleveland and made sure they got Kevin Love to go along with Kyrie, and that when he got to the Lakers that he made sure they got Anthony Davis. And if he were to do that, like go to a team that he feels is better, but the a la the Warriors or some other stacked team, Milwaukee. I mean, that wouldn't happen, but I think a lot of people, it would just be a bad look. He already has a great team. Rob, I don't, probably not, but it's arguable. Heck, the Lakers might be the second best team in the league right now. And so he has a very good team where he's at. So I don't think if he just leaves to try to go attach himself to some other stars that he thinks can help him get that fifth ring. I mean, who you getting much more than Anthony Davis? So I just think
I just think it looks bad anyway. I told you before, when LeBron retires and they put a statue out in front of that arena in Cleveland, in one hand he'll have a basketball, in the other hand he'll have a suitcase. I mean, that's just where he is. And at some point, Chris, you got to stop. Like, you can't, where are you going? Come on. It would look bad, and to go somewhere else and say you don't win and you're just playing out the string with your son. And the
So
problem,
you think even that would look bad?
I'm just saying to play out the string. And the problem I have, and I've brought up to you before, is if he does go play with Bronny has to be the star, not LeBron.
Well,
that's my issue, Chris.
Is that happen?
No,
You know
I know.
I mean,
you remember when Ken Griffey went to go play with Ken Griffey Jr.? His father was on the bench. He was
Right.
fine to be a
That was
left-handed
he was
pinch
the
it off
guy.
the right, Chris.
Junior,
like that,
right, absolutely.
Like that wasn't over the top. The Mariners need a left-handed bat. His dad could come off the bench and play once a week, and that was fine.
Yep.
But Ken Griffey Jr. was the star, not his dad.
Right. No, look, I voiced my opinion. I mean, I think LeBron, from everything we see, has been a terrific father. Obviously came from a fatherless home himself, so he's used that to motivate him to be a great dad. And that might be where this stems from, Rob, wanting to play with his son. But I just, without any knowledge of their, situation, I just feel like usually, Rob, kids in that situation, can you imagine the shadow over you when LeBron James is your dad? And LeBron's even said it himself that he kind of regretted, naming him LeBron Jr. And that's maybe one reason everybody calls him Bronny, because it's obviously different, from LeBron. But I usually you want to, even if your dad's not a huge superstar, to put it lightly, everyone wants to have their own identity at some point. My daughters, Rob, who are twins, a little different situation, but they're identical twins. And they went to separate colleges. And one of the reasons was because as close as they were, and they always hung out together and had the same friend group in high school and all that, but they wanted to establish their own identity apart from each other, right? Not be viewed as a unit or as the twins, right? They wanted to be viewed as an individual. And I would imagine that Bronny, is going to want that himself. And so I'd love it. It'd be awesome if they're in the league together. But I personally think the ideal thing would be, LeBron's on one team and Bronny's on another. But again, it really is more about Bronny. And if he really wants that, like really sincerely wants it, then, that's fine. But yeah, I again, Rob, I wouldn't have a problem if he moved for that reason or just to go back to Cleveland. But I just don't think he's too good to, at this stage of his career, just be trying to latch on to somewhere else to win the championship. I mean, again, there's no evidence that that's what LeBron's trying to do. But just to talk about this story, I don't think that'd be a good look.
Yeah, I don't either. I just don't see it. I think that he wants to be in L.A. and he
came out here for more than basketball,
right? And I just think that that's where it is, and I just think it would look bad to go somewhere else, especially if you don't win. Like you make another move.
Even if he did win, it would just, at least for the time being. Now, ultimately, people just look back and say you got 5 rings, right? Or 6 rings or whatever it would be. But in the moment, it would kind of be like, if he, it would be just, people would look at the rings. If you went to a stacked team, people would look at those rings funny at this stage of his career, I think. But